What's up, guys? This is the second video I'm doing today. It's the first time I've done two videos in one day, but here we go. I want to talk a bit about the next gen NASCAR car that's coming out in 2021. There is footage online. You guys can check that out for yourself. There's not much video, but there are some pictures. I did print out a couple of pictures in very, very, very low quality, as usual. So here's one picture right there. Okay, so I want to just talk about a few things, and then let me point them out first, and then I'll talk about it. The things that are visually noticeable, these hood vents, okay, these flared fenders. There seems to be like a wider stance to the car, and like the shape of the side of the car is nice. It's not flat like a billboard like the current cars, which should reduce some of that side force that to me is not really good for these cars. But take a look at that. I really like the look of this car. I would say 95% of this car looks really good. I really like the way it looks. And here's the other printout, and I'm going to point something out here. And I said I like more or less 95% of the way this car looks, but there is one thing on this car which is horrible. I don't like it, and I really hope that this is just, there's still a long way to go before 2021, but I really, really hope that these are not the wheels they're going to go with. I don't like these wheels. They're ugly. I hope that they stick with the traditional steel wheels. But, like, obviously, these are 17-inch, so make them 17-inch. I don't like these wheels. Wheels can make or break the car. This is not good. I just don't like it. I hope that they go back with the traditional steel wheels that we see on the current gen cars, but just make them 17. I don't like these fucking wheels, man. But the rest of the car is pretty solid. Except, once again, I'm not too crazy about these hood vents, but I think that that's a necessity on the car for aerodynamic purposes. And I think once the car is wrapped in whatever paint schemes, the hood vents may not be as noticeable. So I'm not really that, bent out of shape about the hood vents. The car does have a generic look to it, which I'm sure each manufacturer is going to want to customize it to make it look more like their brand, which is the nose of the car. This one has more of I would say, the Camaro look to it, and I'm sure they'll make some changes, but the car looks good. I really like it. It looks muscular, which I like. It does seem wider. I don't know if it really is that much wider, and I love the flared out fenders. I like that a lot. The current cars are not flared out like that. It looks good. The car looks muscular. It just has a nice stance to it. I really like the look of it. And most of it, to me, is a big success. Again, please don't let those be the wheels. I don't like them. So, I don't know a lot about the car in terms of performance. Joey Logano made some comments about it. The brakes are bigger, and it does change the handling characteristics a little bit. I guess under braking, the rotating mass changes a little bit. From what little I've read and heard, the car seems to be a little bit more of a handful. I think Logano stated that when the car gets a little loose, you do have to wheel it. Whereas the current cars, that because of that flat side of the car, it has that more of a billboard flatness to it. It creates a lot more side force, and you don't have to fight it as much when it gets loose. It kind of corrects itself when you let off the gas. And this car isn't going to be like that, or at least it doesn't seem. There are other pictures which show a rear diffuser underneath the car. Go check out, they're easy to find pictures. I'm not too crazy about the look of it. I'm sure they'll make some changes to it. But if it improves the racing, I'm okay with it. And there is another picture which I couldn't find to print it out. But it shows the car loaded up into going into the corner, I think at Phoenix, with Logano driving, and with the car fully loaded going into the bank. You could see a gap underneath the car, and that's one of my biggest gripes about these cars, that they're so low to the ground, they're sucked down, there's so much downforce, there's no air getting underneath the car, and I think it makes the cars easier to handle. And I always said that the ride height of these cars needs to go up. Now, I don't know if this is connected to ride height or what, but you could see some daylight underneath the car. It's not a ton of daylight, but maybe 2 inches, just taking a guess. And with the car loaded up, not just, parked. And you could see there's a gap of underneath the car. So there's going to be air getting underneath the car. And I do think it's going to improve the racing. So I really like that. There's a lot to like. As far as anything else on a technical, I don't know a lot about this car. I did hear that to improve, or at least to reduce the costs of these cars, they're going to be sort of built in 3 sections, right? You got the center section, the cockpit, the rear, and the front of the car. And the reason for that, from what I've heard, and I could be wrong, and if I am, correct me, let me know in the comment section if you know more about it. But you'll be able to interchange like the entire front of the car and just replace that and still use the rest of the car. So if the car's in a big wreck, you can replace entire sections of the car without having to junk the whole car. That should help. I really like that idea. And the idea, I think also, that these cars are all going to be built by one group, I suppose. And from what I heard, Joe Gibbs Racing, their name's in the hat. I don't know if anything's been finalized, but having these cars all built by one entity instead of each individual team, I think is a good thing. I think it will reduce this idea of trying, these teams are always going to find little tricks here and there, but I don't like the idea that these guys are constantly, some people consider it cheating. Some people say it's the way NASCAR's always been. It's okay. I don't really like when they push things too far. I don't like when you see certain teams dominating because they're pushing something that they know if they get caught, it's actually breaking rules. And if these cars are all built to spec by one entity and then doled out to the teams or purchased by teams, I think that's a positive step in the right direction. I want this to be about the drivers, the teams making adjustments in the pits, and the crew chiefs making specific decisions during the race. That's what racing should be about. It shouldn't be about what these teams are doing back at the race shop, skirting the rules and bending rules and cheating, in my opinion. So I think if you can reduce costs, it helps other teams that are kind of lower budget teams be more competitive. I like that. I like the way this car looks. I like the direction they're going. Again, until you get like a bunch of these cars out in a test session, really pushing the envelope, you're not going to really know what you have until you do that. But from what we've seen and heard so far, I like what I see. And like I said, my biggest complaint right now is the wheels. I don't like the way these wheels look. I don't know what it is, man. I know some of you guys may not think that's a big deal. Whatever. I don't like it. I like the traditional steel wheels. And they look more like a race car wheel. You know, these wheels, they just look like something you'd find in on a typical car, you know, or a truck from the factory. Um, I don't know, man. It's just they don't look right. There's no dish to them. There's no lip. It's just they're flat faced. Don't like them. I hope that this is just early testing and they go more with a traditional like stock car wheels that we see now. Just build them to spec to the right size so that these big brakes fit. So those are my thoughts. What do you guys think about this car? Do you agree or disagree with my thoughts on it? And if there's anything I don't know about the technical aspects of the car, about what's coming in the future, let me know in the comment section. I look forward to your comments. Let me know what you guys think. I'm out. Later.